One of the main questions I get asked when I'm doing the shows, people come up and tell me that they've got an idea for a book, something they've been wanting to do for a long time, they've never just been able to sit down and do it. And one of the best pieces of advice, apart from actually sitting on your bum and doing it, is to break it down into small sort of bite-sized pieces. I think people get swamped by sort of the vastness of the project that it is. It's such a big thing to undertake. When I set out and did mine, literally took the entire series and wrote out the very briefest of the sort of the backbone, the spine of the whole storyline, just the most general sort of idea of what it would be, and then just expanded that, broke it down into smaller chunks, and each of those small chunks expand and break those down into smaller pieces, so that after a while you're not trying to concentrate on the entire idea, you're just concentrating on each little part and making that as best you can. And that filters down all the way from the entire concept. My story is 4 books long. Each of those books have definite ideas that they're dealing with. But then you break that down, not so much into, or not for me personally, not so much into chapters, but just sort of sections of where the characters have to go through, or what it is that they're trying to deal with, or certain characteristic changes that are going to happen. You may then break that down into chapters, and then it's literally sort of movement by movement, or scene by scene, conversation by conversation. Just break it down into tiny parts. And I notice that when I sort of have a writer's block as such, it's often because I'm not quite clear. I know I need to get the character from sort of A to D, but then I have to break it down to A, B, C and D to just be clear in my mind as to what's exactly going to happen. I might be trying to think of too much of a concept at once. I then just have to go through, not worry about writing, putting words to paper, but just breaking that into smaller parts so I can easily grasp in my head what I'm going to actually sort of write about next. So that's probably the first piece of advice. Just whatever your idea is, just break it into small parts so you can get it. And one of the major things I've found is that even if you are struggling with that part, just write it down, put it down on paper, because you can always go back and just rewrite what you've already written. It might not be quite exactly what it is, but it's out, and then you can sort of move on to the next section, the next chapter, the next conversation, whatever it might be. And if it's not quite flowing, at least you've sort of moved on and it's out of your brain. You're not constantly thinking about it. You can go back and then just sort of jig it slightly to work it around. That's the process I'm going now through with the Brothers Bond, that second rewrite. Just seeing what's kind of missing and what I need to tweak on it, really. That was a major achievement for me to just get that initial idea out of the way, and once it's done, you feel the weight off your mind. You've sort of got that part in the bag, and just remembering that the whole process is quite malleable. You can go back and change things and tweak things and move things around. So it's not quite so daunting. But first things first, for any budding writers out there, just sit down, work out your concept, bum on seats, and pen and paper, or on your typewriter computer, and just start writing. Of course, the second part of the process is what happens once you've written your book. You've got the first draft done, what happens there? People ask me, how do I get a publisher? Well, I've gone through the self-publishing route, which is sort of why this is kind of a real big mission, to try and push the book and get it to a lot of places, doing it under my own steam. But I think the process is roughly the same. I've got the first draft. I'm now going through over it, just reading it as a book, seeing what sort of major sweeping changes I need to make. I'm concentrating on a few certain things each time I read through, and I'll develop that, go back and read it again, and look at different certain things that I need to polish up. Once I am happy with that, it's probably going to happen about 3 or 4 times that I'll go back and rewrite that at least. I send it off to an independent assessor. Now, his job is to just read through the book and be very critical on characters, plot lines, the speed and pace of the book, the characterization, just all the different developments, and they'll be quite critical. It can be quite harsh. You have to just let go of your work. It's not your baby anymore. It's a commercial publishable piece, or that's what you're aiming for. So you just have to be very wary of the advice that they give is coming from an independent person who doesn't know the storyline, and if they find your work confusing or slow or just, you know, say badly written, but they're giving ideas and hints as to tweak it, listen to them. Try the changes. It might sort of feel like you're being not rejected, but you know, it's a precious piece that you've invested so much time into, and it's hard to take that criticism, but just allow that process to happen and trust in their skill. It's their job, it's what they do. Yeah, and just you know, push through some of those ideas and just recreate, or you know, just edit that into your work. Once you have gone about that and to a happy stage that you're at, it's very, I wouldn't say it's rare that you would send that back to them, but it's not something that they're looking for. Then just keep rewriting, keep tweaking, and that's probably going to, you know, happen quite a few times with me, just to go through and make sure that's all fine. The next stage is obviously sending it to editors who'll go through all the grammatical side of things, which you know, if I'm not, you know, not technically proficient at, don't worry. You just build a team of people around you that can help you with that sort of thing, and find somebody that works in the kind of genre that you are dealing with, so they can understand the language that you are trying to use and get the mood and feel. There's no point going to a very technical kind of person that might be doing, you know, legal documents or something like that for something like mine, which is a fantasy novel. The two people that I've got love this kind of work as well, and they sort of like dealing with, yeah, this kind of genre. The next stage for me personally was I have got out to a lot of markets and sold it on the road, like what I'm doing now, and I've generated a good sales, you know, a good amount of sales within New Zealand, and I'm trying to do that in Australia, which has got the attention of the bookstores. And then that's just one little extra sort of step up that I'm now trying to push that through the bookstores, doing exactly what I have done at the shows. For me, it's just about little increments. Yes, I'm trying to reach a certain level, but I know that I can't attain that straight away. So just those small little pieces of success, and success breeds success as well. People take note of just those little achievements that you've made, and quite willing to help you along that next stage. So just be patient. It does take a long time, but hopefully in the long run it will definitely be worth it. So stick with it. So just arrived, just setting up for the Adelaide show. All my books have arrived from the pallet from New Zealand. I expect most of those to go over the weekend. So just going to set up. Everything's sort of empty, but we're gearing up for a big show. Probably should be a lot bigger than Perth. Yeah, sort of opposite Star Wars guys, which could be pretty amusing over the weekend. So yeah, I'll get back to you tomorrow when the show is in full swing. 25,000 people came to the show that weekend, and I signed and chatted to hundreds of new fans, thankfully without losing my voice, though some had trouble understanding just what the book was about.
I cannot read the book!
It doesn't have any fingers to turn the pages!
This is the book you were looking for.
This is the book I was looking for.
Well, it's finally my last day of a pretty epic journey from Perth to Adelaide to do the shows. I've met a lot of great people along the way, and some awesome new fans as well for the book. I got up, or headed off pretty much straight after the show. I wanted to get a couple of hours drive on them about last night. I want to head down to the 12 Apostles and have a good look at that before I hit Melbourne traffic. So I've stayed in the middle of nowhere, no idea where I am. But I think I've got about 4 or 5 hours journey or something rather to get there. Have a good look at that. So yeah, it's been a great trip. I am pretty tired, but really looking forward to getting back to Australia in about a month's time for the Melbourne and Gold Coast show, and see how we get on there. I headed for the Great Coast Road. Yet for a while, I felt like I was a long way from the sea. Until at last, I came across a little part of paradise. General warnings: strong currents, slippery rocks, strong winds. Submerged objects, deep holes, drop off, snakes. Yeah, it's crazy. I just stopped at a little beach, Killarney, I think it's called, just on the way towards the 12 Apostles. And it's a nice little bay, cute little beach. Little warning signs up there saying, you know, look out for snakes and stuff like that. But it's not so much that that's got me kind of perturbed as such. I remember listening to a guy, it's more talking about the beaches up Perth, but he sort of said, you know, you might find a beautiful spot, looks great, but there's no one swimming. You kind of think, oh, it's an idyllic little beach back in New Zealand, great, we're kind of used to that, got your own beach, that's perfect. But here it may well mean that there's actually, you know, it's quite known for jellyfish or something like that, that you just don't actually want to go into the water and go and swim because you can die. And that's kind of a negative. You know, probably not going to go and have a swim because kind of fancy living. And I did actually promise a lot of the fans that because of some of the other authors that did die halfway through their series or towards the end, that was one of the things that I wasn't actually planning on doing. So, in safety of myself and in honour of my fans, I will not go and enjoy this luxurious beach. See what I do for you guys? So driving on the road this morning, while I haven't been attacked by snakes here on the beach, I did finally see a kangaroo. In fact, I saw one last night in the dark, just from the corner of my lights at night time, and one bouncing on the side of the road. So that makes 2 live ones and about 14 dead ones. And finally, I left the coast of Australia and headed to Melbourne, taking with me images that would inspire the coast of Hallen and beyond, ready to be inked into the pages of a brother's bond.